Here, I believe Council Kim is absent tonight,
Yes, he is.
and I am here. In full disclosure to the law, we are once again being recorded. If you don't like it, leave the room. First thing we have on here is the committee will review and finalize supplemental information to include within the CPA survey. All right, I'm designating 15 minutes to this cause and moving forward. Fair enough? Okay. Next, go, I don't know, okay, I'm sorry. I don't know, right, so Councilor DeMaria.
Okay, so quickly, the survey is completed as amended last week. I tried it on SurveyMonkey with Ron Cochran's help in the mayor's office. I have a hard copy of it. The only pushback that I see is it's in 2 pages, so I went back and asked him, I said, can we do it on 1 page? And he said, absolutely.
We double-sided?
We can do it on 1 page, yeah, so.
Double-sided, right?
It starts with the seal, it has the intro links, which Councilor O'Malley gave us. One is the laws, and one is the communitypreservation.org. And it's pretty much everything that was amended last week. I did ask if we could have it in multi-language, and
Good point.
the pushback for that was, it could be kind of misconstrued in other languages. So it was suggested that we have local bilingual people to help with that. But should the committee want to move forward with that, we can do that. Also, another question from last week was who would input the hard copies? And I took the liberty to reach out to the Malden Teen Enrichment Center to see if maybe a couple of teens would volunteer to sit on a computer and, do keystroke, put it in, and I think I have all the questions. Is there anything else that anybody had asked?
Have you seen this?
No, I don't think so, yeah.
Any questions? You also, Councilor DeMaria?
I am, thank you.
Any questions?
I understand the issue with
Translation.
the translation, but I do, if there's a way possible, I mean, I understand
Google
when you do the swap, it doesn't sometimes translate, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
nice
we
way,
have in-house translators with the school
Right,
department
exactly, that's what I
that
was
we
thinking.
could,
See if there's any
encourage
way
to
they can help,
help.
or at least do some outreach
Yep, we could do
to
that.
some of the,
But it's not like, our website that you can go language and it drops down and you
Right,
put Spanish and it the SurveyMonkey doesn't do that, so, I think if we have people around to.
Are you sure it doesn't for that?
Well, that's what Ron Cochran
All
told
right.
me today.
I'm thinking like
I
that.
thought everything did that these days.
Yeah, he did give me a cell phone if you have further questions.
But I think if it's if we can, then it's a good thing to be doing, but.
Councilor
Someone
Bell.
else asked me.
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry.
I think I'm not yelling the floor.
You got 15 minutes on the yellow floor.
Someone asked me, and I know my answer was, of course, everyone has to be Malden residents, but had asked me about if there's only people that live in Malden, or what if people that have businesses in Malden. And I said, I think since it's a property tax, it really has to be Malden residents
Right.
only. But just want to make the clarification, because someone that was involved in the visioning, that planning, it was like they reached out to businesses as well, so.
Yeah, so can I jump in with a point of information?
Yep.
I'm gonna ask this to the field, because I was supposed to find out, but I had a busy week. The CPA tax is only on residential, or is it commercial?
Would you like to see it?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, I think.
Does anybody know that answer?
Commercial as well.
It's everything?
Well, I think let's find that out, and then, if it is everybody,
Well, the reason why I asked that is because this came up in the mission, when they did the statement before the mass planning, wasn't that? They had a problem with,
Metropolitan area.
when they did that, they screened for them, because you have developers which actually have a different mindset, might say, so they wanted to make sure that it was just.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have a problem going to the businesses, you can put it in the mail, I think if we put it in the water bill, it's gonna get to them.
right,
But I think we have to be very careful how, that's why I think being
those are, yeah.
you gotta weigh that, right? Because if you own a condo, or you own 5 acres, you wanna put 300 units there, you're gonna have a different answer than somebody else, right?
We can add another question if you'd like.
If we have time, 'cause I think we gotta get in the water bill, that's the only problem.
It's all
Well, I
ready
think
to
that's
go.
when you residential
Oh,
or
that's
commercial,
printed. It's all ready to
oh,
go.
How many you print?
or do we,
You know,
It's gotta be
I'll just
approved
leave it.
first.
Yeah, we gotta approve it.
so,
We can
Tuesday?
find out
I think
tonight.
we would, well, I think we
no,
would,
it's on
Well,
the agenda for tonight.
when, well, I do think actually,
You don't
Councilor
change it.
O'Malley
the
just mentioned
name and
it.
address
If
would
we're asking
probably
them
be.
for their street address, we're gonna figure out if it's a residential or a commercial. If we're asking for their street address.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so I don't think it would necessarily need.
So I think,
another
yeah.
So
That
how,
is fine the way it is then.
can I go back? How many of them did you print?
I haven't printed any till we approve it tonight.
Oh, no, okay.
Yeah.
No, because you said they were all printed.
Well, this one did get printed so that you could have
No,
a
no, fair
visual.
enough. But the plan was to put these in the water bill, right?
Yeah, and it can be ready
Okay,
tomorrow.
okay.
Yep.
You wanna see this, Council Connor?
I seen it.
Okay. Any questions? And Council Nelly, I think you had the, well,
Regarding
Council Pro had the
translation.
floor.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Do you know, you still have it? Yield to Council, Council Nelly.
Regarding translation, I know that most web browsers, whether it's Chrome or Firefox, allow you to translate it on its own.
Yeah.
So I think that anyone who's needing a translation services would probably be equipped to do that. It might not be available through Survey Monkey directly, but.
The browser will do it, I agree, yeah.
Okay, great.
Council Connor?
Oh, I'm good.
Council,
Yes,
any input, questions?
I just
She's
don't even
walked
know
in
what
the
the
room.
conversation was about, I just
You
walked
should-
in the door.
Oh, okay.
Do you need a motion or anything, or it's already on the floor, we have the
I
update?
think we need to go with the committee.
No, you gotta vote on committee.
Well, the only thing that has not been voted yet are these links.
Because I think the survey's already
It was
out.
voted last week.
Right.
Well, the survey,
As
the
amended.
committee did, and it's being reported out tonight.
Yeah.
The report also had that you would meet this week on the supplemental information to be included.
Yes, that's the attestation.
Yes.
Don't we have to add that to this?
It is on there.
Yes.
Right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's two links. One is the actual laws,
Okay,
and the other is communitypreservation.org. So they can, as they're taking this,
okay,
click, and it comes.
okay. Okay.
So that's the recommendation.
Okay, and then, they'll make the March water bill,
Mhm.
right?
If we vote to do that,
Okay. Yeah, I definitely want to do that. I think it's $1,000 cost.
yeah.
That's what Louise from the mayor's office said. I didn't ask who's covering it, but I'm assuming we can pick up $1,000. So I think it's important to get it out. And where do they want it to come back? Here's the only problem. If we put it inside the water bill goes back to a lockbox, right? It doesn't come back to our PO box.
Right,
It's not our PO box.
right.
So if somebody gets this in the mail, somebody gets this in their water bill, they open it up, right? And they wanna do it physically, wanna fill this in. Where do they mail this?
They should put it in a different envelope.
We gotta tell them that, is my
We
point.
can add that in there, great
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah. We gotta put that in there as far
Where
as,
do the envelopes go for water bills?
they actually go to Century Bank.
What if you don't get a water bill?
If you don't get a water, why wouldn't you get a water bill? You're a resident?
Because I pay online.
You could go online and still do it. We're doing two things. We're sending out email communication, and we're putting it in the mail for people who don't have internet. So you can still take the survey. You won't.
But, oh, sorry, can I add one thing? All of the housing authority units
Yeah.
do not get a water bill, and many people don't have a computer. So all of those 8 or whatever units, and renters don't get their water bills. They don't get a water bill. They're a tenant.
I do believe that we also were gonna have it available in many public places like the library.
We'll print out more and
City
pass about
Hall.
those buildings. I mean, I'll be quite honest, we don't have, the last survey that was done by
MAPC.
MAPC, cost $50,000, and there was advocacy, and they went out and did all this. We don't have that budget, obviously, so I think we'll try to get to the masses, but I think by doing this in a couple forms is better than not doing it, But you're right, we're not gonna be able to catch all of it, but we'll make sure that we put them in the library, the senior center, and any public, housing facilities we have. Cause I don't know if we could probably ask in everybody's ward if you can drop them off, cause like it's not public, we'd have to ask.
I can commit to dropping them off in my ward to the Heritage and to one from now.
Yeah, so why don't we-
It's really up to the ward council.
So why don't we have like an extra 1,000 printed? How about that, right, whatever we need for the mail, we have 1,000 extra?
Mhm.
I think it's always word of mouth to get to that link for the survey monkey, that's gonna be that.
Council.
Yeah, off committee, what kind of controls do we have in place to track who the respondents are and whether or not they're answering multiple times? Anything like that?
Well-
Name and address, are we cross-checking that against the residents list?
Yeah, so a couple things is, one, the Survey Monkey will not allow URLs, right?
Okay,
But we are probably gonna, from the paper ones, we're gonna have to track, I agree. There's gonna have to be, the paper ones, you're gonna have to go in there and say that this person already voted. That leads me to my initial question is, we have to have these mailed, where are they gonna be mailed? Because I think wherever they're gonna be mailed is, that's where we have to kind of have the controls in place for that. Because if somebody prints this out, gets this out of their water bill, or gets it out of one of their senior buildings, and they fill it out, where do they mail it is the question.
I think we should know, I think we decided last week to mail it to, Lisa.
I think so, Lisa, yeah, that makes sense.
Our office.
and did we already ascertain which questions are gonna be?
There's a copy floating around, Council.
Mhm, I
Actually-
agree too, yeah.
You have another copy of that?
Yep, it's right here.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Can I have it back when you're done, though, Counselor? Because it's my only one that put notes on it.
We don't have copies for everybody?
No, no.
It's already been voted on,
Okay.
the survey.
Council Cronin?
Very well.
Council, you mind yielding to Council Cronin when you're reading?
Yeah, no, I'm finished, thank
Council
you.
Cronin.
Yeah, if they get the water bill and the survey, right, they're not mailing back to Lisa, right? A lot of people will put the water bill and the survey and you don't want it mailed back to
So
Lisa.
that's why we have to add that on there, we have to have the water, we have to make sure.
We want the water bill to go to the lockbox and the survey to go to
I
Lisa.
just, yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
yeah. I would suggest you print that up differently. You print out the water bill separate than that. Because you might have to put a different heading on there and maybe say, please make sure you mail. Do you have to prove that? I think you gotta put a little different instructions on that, because if you get that, you gotta maybe bold type on the top, say, please
Yeah,
return
just-
to, you know,
Right at the top, it will say that.
yeah. The survey doesn't have to say that, obviously, but that would have to do that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think we should also have a link to the Survey Monkey in case they don't want
Absolutely.
to have to fill it out. They could just go online, because I'm sure a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that will be added to the
Yeah.
city website, it will be added to
No, but I
the,
think even on the
Top of
paper
the
ones
survey.
that it says you can go on and do it electronically or fill it out and mail it back.
oh, on the hard copies.
Yeah.
Okay,
So then
yeah,
someone might see it, say like,
Yep.
answer them, fill
Yep.
electronically.
we'll add that on.
Yeah, so all the ones you're printing up could all have that, please
Yeah,
mail
of
back,
course.
it's all the same.
Mhm.
Either go on and take the survey.
Please
or-
mail
Or mail
back,
back to
it will go
the-
to, it will go to Lisa,
Did you get to see it?
and then we'll cross-reference with who's sending it in. Right?
Mhm.
Okay. Any other comments?
I'm just wondering, do we have to do any particular motions today, tonight?
We'll vote inside a committee and then send it out either favorably, not favorably, or without any recommendation to the full council will vote it out.
You voted on.
Well, there's a change, right?
Yes,
We
you
voted
voted
as
on the
we
survey
wanted.
questions, the water, including in the water bills.
Yeah.
One other things, the date of the, date, time, and place of the public hearing.
Do you think we need a vote?
So this is just a
Yes,
supplemental information.
just to add
This
this,
was
this,
just-
Okay.
these
Just some
things,
supplemental information.
because there was some concern about it.
Okay, any questions? Council?
Yeah, did we get the city's email database for our use? Did Lisa request that and receive it?
I don't know, Lisa did request it, I don't know if we received it.
Is that the email database that you were alluding to earlier? You said it was gonna be emailed out. I only know of an email database in the mayor's office. Is there another source?
Debbie, do you know if they're gonna send out?
They're gonna work, on the city email, and it's going to be.
Who's they?
Ron Cochran is going to help with that, and for the calculations of the hard copies, I reached out to the Teen Enrichment Center to see if we could get some teens to do some inputting of the hard
No, I-
copies.
What John's asking is,
Who we don't know.
How do you make people aware? Are we gonna use the city's email list
Yes,
Right,
to make people aware that the
Yes.
survey is
that's
available?
right, yes,
thank you.
yep.
Well, we
thank
should
you.
just vote to send it out to the city's email, we don't have to ask, it's not, nobody's, it's our email addresses. And social, and social media.
Mhm.
Council Connor, the
Is
second
there
time.
Any discussion on where you're scheduling that March meeting? Scheduling an April and May meeting,
We haven't got that far yet.
no? You're gonna, how many meetings do you plan on having to cover the city?
We've talked about a couple, we just haven't gone that far out yet.
Couple of meetings?
We had trouble getting one, so let's get working on the one. Because in the next meeting, I would like to honestly, a public hearing is, and I think the survey will help us too, right?
Mhm.
And then, I wanna schedule a public hearing on parking too. And then, right in April and May, we're talking budget time, so I don't wanna commit to a date yet, and then we have to make changes, so. I think we've exhausted this process,
Agree?
right?
Parking, you're thinking an off night?
Oh, absolutely not, oh, yeah.
So I motion that we refer the
No,
supplemental information to.
That the supplemental information be those links.
Exactly.
Second.
And adding the additional information that we just discussed in terms of.
mailing
Mail
address,
back to
Got
City
it.
Hall,
City
Yep.
Hall.
and you can also fill it out online.
And then also that we use the city's distribution list, email list, and social media to distribute in any print media who wants to obviously give us a plug for this.
That was my motion.
Thank you, second.
Shouldn't that go to Lisa, have Lisa send it out on behalf of the city council? Since this is our endeavor. Distributing the survey,
No, they're not distributing the survey. There's a link on the website.
that
and
directs them to the survey.
That directs,
Yeah.
that they'll get an email saying, you can go onto the website.
Got it, thanks.
All right, so Ryan's, I don't want to repeat Ryan's motion, seconded by Council DiMaria, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That will go tonight. Thank you. Next order of business is gonna be the ordinance committee draft a regulation for consideration by the city council and traffic commission for a citywide residential sticker pocket program. I will open this up. I have my thoughts, but, I'd be more than happy to, it's good, we have a pretty good big, contingency here, members of the ordinance committee and non-members, so, anybody wanna open it up? Any ideas? Council Nelly?
Well, I think as we know, we're all pretty much in support of this,
Yeah.
and some of the people who didn't sign on, but it's definitely a priority for the council, it's one of the main priorities that the council president kind of, set us up for at the beginning of the year.
Yep.
I do think that it has a great chance of success.
Yep.
And we just need to kind of all get on the same page here. So I'm looking forward to contributing however I can in terms of, figuring out how we can generate revenue to pay for this program, and then also just kind of getting out to speed.
Anybody else?
Chair, is there a feeling among the councilors to have public meetings on this subject?
I think we have to.
Mhm.
I'll be honest with you, I'd vote tonight for it, to be honest with you. I'd
Right.
vote now to vote to this.
Mhm.
But I think we probably have to do a couple public hearing meeting, public meetings on this, from my point of view, maybe one or two, and see how they go.
So how does the council feel about using the same meeting nights in which we gather the public, the CPA? And we can actually segregate the times, so that the first,
Has
First
the
step,
CPA
right.
already been in the paper?
has it?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay.
Plus, that's a lot.
It'd be a long night. That's-
It would be a long
yeah,
night.
it'd be a long night. You know,
So what's the time frame we're looking at?
I wouldn't mind stop picking some dates by the end of this meeting. From my perspective, I think this is the number one quality of life issue the city is facing. You know, even wards that have permit parking now, and that is ward, and all the ward councils, help me if I forget your ward. Parts of Ward 1 have it, parts of Ward 2 have it, parts of Ward 3 have it, parts of Ward 4 have it, parts of Ward 5 have it. 6, 7, and 8, I think the only wards that don't have it.
7 does.
7 has a couple streets, right? So it's already happening by metamorphosis, because every time you know, I think the other council said it, you go to a traffic committee meeting, somebody's adding another street, because it's a domino effect. If you do this part of West Street, you'll be back 6 months later to this part because it just forces them out. For me, it is two things. One is a quality of life issue, one is, it is a revenue grab, but not from our residents, it's from the people who are parking their cars in our streets, who are not getting ticketed because we don't have a program, and they're taking up space, they're creating trash. I mean, we know we try to clean the streets and we have problems with that. And the other portion of revenue is the same people who live in the city, who have had their cars, I mean, it's become more and more evident the last couple of years, at least this year, for me, I noticed. These people come in the city, they live in apartments usually, or they live in these homes, and they don't register their car in here. They're from New Hampshire, they're from Maine, they're from Vermont, and we're paying excise tax, and that money's supposed to go for the roads and streets and sidewalks, and I think we have a couple dollars we have to pay for streets and sidewalks and roads, right? So for my idea is, we're not hurting the resident as much as we're trying to just make it a quality of life issue and make it fair as far as the quality from a pay scale, right? Because we all pay, all our cars are registered, hopefully all our cars are registered, right? And we all pay excise tax. And there's a lot of people, our neighbors, who don't.
Right.
And then the other thing is we can control how many the issue's gonna get into, and this is where I think the council's gotta, my honest to God goal here is to get this out before the summer. So we have the entire summer to help get this ready. We will make, I know we're being taped, and I will say this 15 more times, live or not live. We will make mistakes in this ordinance, there's no doubt about it. There's something we're gonna forget, there's something we would have to change, but we need an ordinance. We can always come back next year and fix what we think is, we forgot to do this or this area, but we all have to agree, in solidarity, excuse me, on what we need to do, right? The kind of goal is we gotta get something, pen to paper, we gotta vote it out, and then we gotta find some cash to get the signs up. Enforcement is key, right? Enforcement is just as important as the ordinance itself. So my goal is, for homework for the ordinance committee, and even though I've already downloaded like 5 cities, Cambridge, some of them that have extensive parking programs. There's a lot of good ideas out there, and we can do it. Council comment.
Yeah, even though we have resident parking, it's a huge change what we're looking to do.
Huge.
Because resident parking is just during the day,
Day.
which is nothing. That's not what we're looking to do. We have to figure out who's parked here overnight and is registered up in Newburyport, Georgetown, Methuen, paying half the money we're paying in excise taxes.
And insurance.
And insurance, and we need to identify those people. And there's a lot of residents that we're gonna identify.
Yep.
That they need to be prepared to have their cars properly registered, because we're gonna capture that excise tax. So it's the overnight sticker parking, and make no mistake about it, I have resident parking, there will be a pushback from everywhere.
Oh, absolutely right.
Because it's a big change to people until they get used to it. So we will get pushback from people that go from day sticker parking to, say, 24-hour sticker parking, so.
No, I'm with you. I think the time has come where the Band-Aid's gotta be ripped off. I mean, we have the problem now where handicap parking, we put it out there because people don't wanna park in their driveway, and I've already got 3 or 4 calls where, hey, this person unfortunately passed away a year and a half ago, the sign's still there. We want the sign now, right? So there's a lot of these, I think the program will help us with a lot of these things that right now we can't track, right? And, the reason why I say this, because some of it actually has, when they put a handicap parking in for a resident, they tie it to a car, right? Anybody can park there, but they track that car. If that car moves away, they actually say, their software will say, go back and look at that resident, because if they move, because they have some colleges and universities here, there's a system in place. We're not gonna get there the day one, we're not. And that's why I know we'll make some mistakes, but I think our biggest thing is we need to start doing this. Council DeMaria.
Well, I think that, the order here was to draft a regulation, so I think before we do any public hearing for this,
Oh, yeah.
we do need to do our homework. Maybe this committee should do a timeline as to, where we wanna go, starting this meeting, when we wanna launch it, how do we get to that point, involve the enforcement, how are they going to, handle all this, and, what the cost would be for the signage. I think we need to kind of put all our heads together to draft a timeline. How are we gonna get from A to where we wanna be, so.
Yeah, so if I, just real quick, and then I'll get to, I think the first thing is, when we have the next orders committee meeting, we should I ask everybody to look at some of the neighborhood cities with parking. We can come back, but I will say this, Council Kinnon had put together a pretty extensive PowerPoint and presentation where it was, nobody pays day one. It was all based on your excise tax, registration of your car, right?
But if you.
It went up with your excise
if
tax.
If your car was registered in Malden and you currently paid excise tax in the city,
Yeah, you gotta,
you would be given a sticker
until you get a new car.
that would be good for the life of your car until you got a new car.
So I think it's a good structure to go with.
Right, however, if you're not, if you were a resident of Malden, your car is registered somewhere else.
You have to get a sticker.
You're gonna have to get it.
And some of the other
You're gonna have
issues
to
that came up
re-register
there
your
was,
car, right.
and I can tell you right now, some of the other issues are gonna be, I don't own my car, it's a corporate car, I live in Malden, can I get a sticker? So those are the kind of things.
Right,
But people are paying for resident parking now. People aren't gonna pay for.
So that's where we gotta break down, I mean,
That
because,
doesn't seem to make sense to me.
No,
There's
I
a
think-
cost to this program.
So,
To not resident parking stickers are $10, correct? And if they want visitors passes, they're $5?
it's actually 20 if you write it in, right?
I thought it was 5 and 10.
Okay,
If you
fine.
mail it
Yeah,
as,
yeah. Okay, go ahead.
So I mean, to think about just everybody not, they pay now.
Well,
And you're gonna have you're gonna need twice the enforcement, 3 times the enforcement. Okay? So to even think about not charging people for stickers is just, I don't think it's possible,
Okay.
you know? It
Small
doesn't have to be an
cost.
absorbent cost.
Right, small cost.
But, you know, to me, people that aren't registered here probably should be paying more than the people that are paying excise.
No, I
taxes.
agree, Council Ryan.
so I think the way, when we say there's not gonna be a cost, so for anyone who is already paying excess tax in the city, when we first implement this system, they will get a ticket, they will get a parking permit. Because they've been living up to their duty, they're paying excise tax, help contributing to the public funds to maintain roads. Now, anyone who does not end up having excise tax and then comes in fresh out of nowhere, they'll pay a certain fee, whatever that ends up being,
And that's where we think that we're gonna have $1 million from the first year.
from the excise tax and the.
I'm sorry. I think he's saying though, the people that are in his ward already, that are already paying for permit parking, are you gonna refund all of them?
That would end.
Because they're gonna be like, okay, I just paid for a parking
No, it ended.
permit.
No, because what we'd have to do is, they'd have to pay when they, this we gotta figure out, but everybody's
That
gonna,
program
You know what I
would
mean?
end.
Like-
That program.
no,
would end.
everybody's gonna pay, Paul, it's just a matter of when they pay. It's not a question of people pay. It's just that we try to make it palatable, so the day one, if you weren't paying, that was the idea originally. We can scrap that, but we were gonna use the money, the plan was the $500,000 that came out of all the excise tax revenue that they got, because we estimate they're between $400,000 and $500,000 in excise tax money out there. That would pay for the first year's implementation. And then any new car would have to pay.
So because you already have your car registered, you would get a sticker when you go and pay your excise tax. Now,
But I would expect to pay, just like the residents have
no, so
in the past.
but that program would then end, because we're not gonna have 2 systems going on. We're not gonna have the existing system where you pay $50 a year, which I think is a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then
But then how do you determine a Ward 8 resident going down to Ward 2 and
You're gonna be
hopping on the
zones.
train?
They got zones.
I think we're getting ahead of ourselves here.
Yeah,
And I think I still have the.
Oh, go ahead,
so I haven't
Councilman.
stopped talking.
You're the president.
So, yeah, I think that we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here. I think that it is important for the ordinance committee to draft a policy, and then I think at that point, we can get into the nitty-gritty of how it's gonna work. But I think it's important that we have a chance to kind of do this kind of thinking,
Yep.
come with a proposal, and then come to the full council for this type of feedback. I think there will be public hearings where a lot of these issues will be raised also. I just don't want us to get lost at the beginning of this, because I think it's important
Yeah,
that
no,
we
I
all
agree.
signed up to it. But I do think you bring great points in terms of how will this program be implemented and how to make it fair to the residents, including the residents that I represent, that are already paying $50 a year, which I do think is,
Nobody's paying $50.
or however much it costs. I mean, if they,
$5 or $10.
that's all it is.
Yeah,
It's $10 a year.
Maybe they have 5 cars.
I'll be happy
Yeah.
So I
to
said,
be
so,
able to park on my street.
so yeah, I think that, I don't have anything against it necessarily being a cost for new residents, but I do think at the beginning, it would be palatable to implement this through, if you pay your excise tax, you get a parking sticker. Regarding the zones that you brought up, only because you brought up zones, I personally do think zones are very important. Now, one of the things with our existing system is we do have zones, and they end at sometimes wards, but sometimes not. It's kind of not exactly, but they're roughly like that. I know Karen has it in her office. One of the ideas that I had was, say you color code every zone, or every ward. So Ward 4 is blue, Ward 5 is yellow. Now, on Main Street where our wards touch, you could, when you're doing signage, you have both blue and yellow parking allowed on Main Street where we have zones that are touching each other to kind of help so that if I can't park on the other side of my street, that's what's happening sometimes now is the zone gets split on the street and they can't park on the other side of the street, which is a little bit ridiculous. So I mean, in terms of dealing this, there's different ways for us to do it. I just don't want us to get lost in that.
Yep. President Murphy.
One of the things that I'm not sure how many of you were here back 3 years ago and did the dog and pony show with Councilor Kinnon and myself. I know Councilor Spatafora was at a number of the meetings.
Yep.
We did have 3 public hearings.
Yep.
We did get a lot of good information from the public about what they liked and disliked about some of the proposals that we put forward. So I would suggest that one of the things, if I may, off committee, is that, as you stated, we do get a copy of Councilor Kinnon's PowerPoint, and that we do sit and we talk a little bit about what we heard before.
Yep.
And then obviously we can bring new ideas into the mix to decide how this is going to happen. One of the big issues, even when you're talking about color coding, Councilor O'Malley, is there was a huge outcry against people not being able to park in the city that they pay taxes to. So I go to visit Councilor Crowe and I have a blue sticker for Forestdale and she has white stickers. People were outraged at the fact they wouldn't be able to go visit their neighbors and their friends and not be able to park on the street. They felt that they were all citizens of Malden. So those are some of the issues that we need to discuss. We also need to discuss how we maintain the area that is adjacent to the train stations so that you don't have people coming, no offense, I'm using Linden as an example.
No, that's fine.
You don't have Linden people coming down and parking, you know, on Forest Street to be able to take Oak Road.
Yeah, during the day.
During the day. So we have to retain the integrity of, you know, those areas in close proximity to the T stations, so the residents who live close.
Agreed.
So there's a lot to talk about, and I think that, you know, it's gonna be a number of meetings, but there has been a tremendous amount of work done here in the city, you know, with the last group that did this. I think that, you know, we'd all be happy to come in and talk to this ordinance committee about what we heard and what we saw. And also, as Councilor Spatafora said, the nice thing about this is we don't necessarily have to recreate the wheel. There are cities who have, you know, it's kind of time tested in their cities. And I think, you know, even getting someone from Everett to come in and talk to us about, you know, what they've found good, the good, the bad, and the ugly, so to speak, about their implementation process and how it worked and, you know, what they would change if they could, so.
Councilor DeBrey?
So, thank you, because I'm actually tagging on to that, which is what you said, Council Spatafora, is that if each of us on committee take a city
Yep.
and reach out to them, get some information, I'll be more than happy to do Everett. I have a little connection there, so I can find out how they do it, if you wanna take a.
I'm not on.
Oh, you're not on committee?
I just like to be here.
But you wanna reach out to Chief Mazie, because he's the one who started.
Yep, okay. If, any other cities that you might suggest?
I would probably do Somerville and Cambridge.
I'll do some of them.
Kate's gonna do Cambridge.
That's fine. I'm not Kate, so I'm not gonna.
I said Kate, I call you Kate. So Kate can do Somerville, and you can help her out.
That's right.
And then maybe come back at the next meeting.
Yeah, I'll look
with
at
that
Charlestown, too.
information. Yep.
I think that if we have any notes from the last time we did some of the things. it's
Did
good.
MATV record one? I'll find out from
so,
Brian.
But I think that would be, because let's go from where people had I've been trying to say this for about 10 minutes until you yelled it, but that's
I was waiting for Kate, that's why.
you know, so for some of the people that had issues, so that we could take those first, and so that we know that how we're gonna address those. I do think Everett is probably gonna be, I know that Cambridge and some will have more elaborate kind of
Correct.
ones with the zones, and I think that we had talked about keeping the zones would be around the trains and then not around the trains. So, you know, I mean, those zones still stay intact. But I think Everett will be our most comparable, because they're a little more like I think what we'd be doing, and I'm on the Malden Everett line, and I know that how they've dealt with the streets that are half Malden, half Everett, and how that reciprocal.
Just a point of information, Everett is not 24 hours, I don't believe. I
Yeah,
think
they
they're 11.
Yes, they are.
They are?
I
Yep.
believe they are, because my
Yeah, I
son
think
got.
They weren't.
Well, I know,
I thought they were.
It was 11 to 7.
Nine.
Well, I thought it was only overnight, unless they've changed it.
Oh,
It's
maybe it's
not
over.
24 hours.
No, I know, that's what I'm saying.
It's
I
just
agree. I don't think
overnight.
it was 24
Let's
hours.
say about
Yeah.
Wellness,
Yeah.
I think Wellness.
Yeah, so I don't think they're 24 hours.
But I think in figuring out some of the hiccups that we had,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
came up, because some of the things we might not ask, and I know is that some of those meetings, people said, you know, I have a church in my neighborhood, and what happens to the parishioners, and whatever, all these other things. So I think if we could identify what the issues were and see if we could
Yeah.
find some other cities that had solutions to those issues, who are gonna have the same ones as ours, at least we're moving forward.
I would just caution everybody on this. I think Council Condon said it best. We're gonna make people upset, because we're not gonna have solutions for everybody. Those will be, we're not gonna give out 15 parking permits to a single-family home, because we know that's one of the problems we're having in Ward 3 right now, which is basically a rooming house. How do we do that? We put a policy in that's gonna probably affect the people that, you know, because some of the things, I'm gonna have a party in the summertime with my friends over. We're not going after those people, right? That's not our intent. Our intent is to have some rules in there that we can control when issues come up that right now we have no control. The other thing was, you know, I can't have my daughter come over. Again, we're not going after that, but I want to caution everybody, this committee and on the council. We are not going to have answers for everybody in this. And the other thing is, with Somerville, they have things like visiting nurses, veterans, moving. I mean, they have a very elaborate one. And I think in some cases we have to be somewhat elaborate, because we're a big community. We have a lot of residents here. We have abundance of, you know, rapid transit here. So we might have to do that, but we're not going to say, okay, you wanted this, we're going to be able to give it. We're not going to be able to do that. I know that right off the bat, Council Condon.
Yeah, well, I mean, there'll be visitors passes.
No, they will, absolutely right, they will be.
If,
You have a
Ginny,
home visit.
Ginny,
J.D.
That's okay, you can
if,
say
I'm
Ginny.
sorry.
Kate,
If she wants to come and,
Visit
if she
Kate.
wants to visit me,
Yeah,
all right, I would have a visitor's pass to give her.
Right.
correct.
So even though you'd have a different color, you could still come and visit me.
Like you do now. Like I live in front of my
Right.
house, if someone wants to park in front of my house, or if you have a driveway,
Right.
you don't need a sticker.
Right?
And that's the other, you know, the beauty of this ordinance, because a lot of people we know don't use their driveway, so they don't have to block each other in. Go ahead.
Exactly, but Everett took in, I think, $400,000, and that's just from 11 to 7,
That was a while ago.
okay? And Malden has a heck of a lot more cars than
I
Everett,
think it's a great idea.
you
I
know?
agree.
And I do think that in terms of enforcement, I think that our police department is gonna be they're gonna use their discretion. So I mean, if they see another Malden parking sticker, they're not gonna go out and ticket it, unless it's like something that's happening
Well,
every week and the neighbors are
I mean,
complaining.
and that's the point. I mean, but we have it as a tool, like, we have a lot of ordinances that we don't enforce every day, right? But that's the tool. So if everybody can take their cities, we'll meet the next committee meeting and we'll talk about that. And then hopefully we start, you know, I'll see if we can get Northern Access TV, if they can record, if I get copies, and send that out. I'll be copies of the times and everything else. 6:50, Council Condon, for the third time. Oh, okay, come on. Come on, I can't play with you over, so you sensitive?
I have absolutely no feelings, especially when it comes to you.
Oh my God.
But
Council Condon.
we're gonna have a difficult time trying to figure out. This is a revenue producer to capture people that have really not lived up to their civic duties.
Correct.
You know, but what I would have a difficult time doing is just saying, we're putting in resident parking, but you don't have to pay for
I
it.
agree.
I mean, believe me, there's a lot of cars that
No, I mean,
pay
listen, we-
$10 and $5 for, that have no problems with it. I've had people for years want resident parking and more than willing to pay $10 and a couple, $5.
And listen, we can all work that out, again, that's the details. If we get pen to paper,
You
we get
might
this
even
up.
think about people that have neglected, have lived there and not paid, charging them more for the first time paying their excise tax, because they haven't paid, they've lived there for
20
10
years.
years and not paid any excise
Yeah,
tax to
excise
this
tax.
community, so you might charge them $30.
No, fair enough, that's a good
Something to
point.
think about.
Do you have anything else? So look at this, we got a minute left, 6:59. I have Council DiMaria's motion to adjourn, seconded by Council O'Malley. All in favor? All opposed? Good work.
Janine was closer than
Public
Kate.
meetings.
Kate.
So shall I ask?
Yeah, right.
Janine,